And welcome back to today's Josh Comnick Cheap Seats Live, brought to you by Jim Grimaldi, attorney at law here in Lincoln, Logan County's only law firm dedicated exclusively to the practice of criminal law. Phone number for Jim is 651-8089, or stop by his office located in the Regions Bank Building in downtown Lincoln. We're downtown on the square at Corey Leonard's Shelter Insurance. Joined now by Lincoln head football coach Andy McDonald. Coach, thanks for being with us. I guess we were just talking off the air. Despite the score last night, you sound like you're pretty upbeat today based on what you saw on film.
Yeah, we met with the guys this morning. In fact, they're still out there right now getting kind of a little light workout in. I told them that, even we felt this way last night, but I guess the sting is a little less in the morning, and get to think about things a little more. And we were proud of the way that we competed, and felt like that as a team that we played hard. Against the defending state champion and a number 2 preseason ranking. Obviously, we knew that they're the real deal. That they were going to be a very tough quality team, and we came out there and were not intimidated. I think we came right after them, and guys played hard, and I think we kind of we wore down a little bit the second half. Had some good drives there, and that kind of killed us with some fumbles a few times.
Yeah. Before we get too much into the game, I want to kind of ask you a personal question. Last night, your first night as a head coach, I'm sure you're worried about Rochester and game planning for all that the problems they present. But did you have a chance last night to kind of take a step back and go, wow, here I am? You talked to me earlier in the week about being out there running with your dad on the field and stuff. Did you have a chance to kind of appreciate that and how far you've come, kind of like a full circle thing last night?
I did. I during the day was going through some different feelings of nervousness and trying to make sure that all the details were taken care of, and at times being very excited and pumped up and anxious, and then right after school was out, had early dismissal, I kind of felt the need to get out of the school for a few minutes, and ran home and to see my kids and give them a hug and come back over, and gave me a few minutes kind of driving in the car to think about it and reflect on it. And it was a very exciting time for me also personally.
Cool. All right. One thing you talked to me about last night is you said Rochester's, some of their speed, obviously they've got some fast kids, some great athletes, but one thing you said that kind of struck me is some of their speed comes from aggressiveness. And I thought that was pretty telling. Is that just an instinctual thing that they have? Is that just committing themselves to going flying towards the ball like you've talked about before? Can you talk to me, I guess, more about what you mean by that, of some of that speed comes from aggressiveness?
Yeah, right. I don't, if we were to line them up and run 40-yard dashes, with their team, I'm sure they've obviously got some speed out there. Do they have the kind of speed that a Lanphier or Southeast has? I don't know. But I think a lot of that comes from a confidence in what they're doing, and an aggressiveness level that they are all out. They're all committed on every play. Obviously, they have a lot of pride in their program. No hesitation, I guess. We watch the film and the way that they're flying to the ball, and we've noticed this the last 2 years with them also, that you get 11 guys that are just they're flying the ball, no hesitation, reckless abandon. That can make up for a couple steps, and we've got some guys that do that. We're trying to get more guys with that mentality. When you've decided your direction, your alley to go, you're going full tilt. You're going through people to get there and make a play, and we're doing a better job of that. They obviously do a great job of that, and whether that's, I think part of that's just a natural aggressiveness level that they may develop as a kid, and a personality trait, and some of it's got to be learned, and then just gaining that confidence level also.
Well, part of it may have to do, it seemed like they had some guys they could rotate a little more frequently.
Oh, sure. Which
helps, And I think we were talking about earlier, I think Lincoln's building their program in the right direction now with our youth football coming up, and like I said, I'm driving out past that about every day and seeing the numbers out there, and I think that's going to translate into a few more players for you to choose from too.
Somebody from Rochester told me 110 kids out for football at Rochester, and you figure 400 of those kids in their 800-person school are boys.
I think there's 600 something.
600 something, so even more than that. Almost 1 in every 3 boys is probably out for the football team.
That's pretty amazing. We were talking about that just yesterday morning. We noticed that their roster they sent over had 75 sophomore, juniors, and seniors, and that's pretty impressive that they got 30% or more of their boys playing football, and we'd love to get to that point because we think it's good for them to be out there.
Yeah, you talked about running over people in your last statement. Speaking of running over people, how about Andy Cruz last night? Well, definitely one of the bright spots for Lincoln. He looks like he is going to be a load for anybody who's, I don't know, under 230. I mean, he is just going to be a beast, it looks like last night. Can you talk? And I think one of the things, if you know Andy as a kid, he's just an interesting kid. Can you talk about him both as a running back and just kind of the attitude that he brings to your football team?
Yeah, and he's a great kid. He's a good student, good family, and has been a very committed football player. He also plays basketball, a multi-sport kid. He is he's kind of a laid-back kid, off the field, but obviously that intensity level rises when he gets between the lines. And
he's kind of an aw shucks, so kind of guy, and then he gets out there and you're just like, whoa. He's
he loves he's one of those guys that plays with reckless abandon. I mean, when he's chosen his path and his way, he's going hard with no fear and great courage, and he's going to run through people. He likes to hit guys hard and play the game the way it's meant to be played.
We also talked this morning about your pretty boy quarterback who also plays linebacker. Gotta love that. James Lysker even got a few hits in last night.
I don't know if I'd call him pretty boy quarterback. He probably wouldn't like that either. But we tease him about his being a lifeguard quarterback. But, James is just providing great leadership out there on the field also. And
saw him break through kind of that. They do the cheerleaders do kind of that big paper thing last night, and James was just the first guy through there. He's pumping his arms. You could just see the kid was so pumped to be out there playing football.
Oh yeah.
Time of his life.
He has a high intensity level out there, and sometimes as a quarterback, we probably have to pull him down a little bit. I know pre-game he was maybe as a quarterback position was pumped up a little bit, and we've talked about that. We're letting him play defense a lot more this year because we want him out there on the field defensively, and we need him out there. And it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts that intensity level, maybe having a little different intensity level he does as a linebacker as compared to quarterback. But I think he handled it pretty well last night. And again, James had some nice runs too. He's another guy that he's not going down easy. He's going to keep those legs pumping.
And forgive me, but did we get an explanation on the ref? And I'm not picking on officials. Officials have the toughest job out there. But the whistle down, did you guys get an explanation on that? It seemed like there was a time in the third quarter where James was still up and they blew the play dead. It was unfortunate.
That was an option play, and the official just thought that Andy had the ball and he went down.
Really?
And
Sold
so
that
it's an inadvertent whistle. Right?
Sold that option too well.
Yeah, played it great. Yeah.
Gosh darn it. And the other kid that we've talked about this morning I thought made a couple of great plays last night was Logan Armbruster. Had the interception, I believe, had a big kickoff return, opening kickoff, and made an outstanding catch with his hands where James led him maybe a little too much, but he just reached out and snagged that ball. I think Logan kind of reminds me, I said this morning, of the kid from Remember the Titans, kind of that sunshine player from the Remember the Titans, because he's got kind of that baby face, but man, he's a football player.
Oh yeah, and Logan's he's a 3-year starter now. He started as a cornerback his sophomore year, and he's been kicking actually as a freshman. He's one of our captains. That's what we expect out of Logan. We expect him to be a solid defender back there, and he will and does, and we expect him to make those kind of plays. He's our as our receiver. He's kind of our go-to guy. Although we got a couple other guys that we expect to step up and help carry that load. And Logan is one of those guys also that his toughness level and his level of aggressiveness have increased so much since his freshman year. It's really neat to see how he is. He's a hitter out there. He'll come sticky now. The last couple of years.
Good deal. Obviously looking to build on those 3 guys going towards next week. Hopefully they have big weeks again and get some other guys into the party. I don't know what the deal was with Canton last night. Have you heard how they did?
I have not heard yet.
Okay. What can you expect from them? We saw them last year. More of the same. I think I want to remember a shotgun kind of offense. threw the ball a little bit. What do you expect from them going forward to next week?
I think athletically they will be they'll be similar to us. Again, I expect a good, tough game. You know, we've got to come out this next week and obviously make some improvements. We've got to do a much better job of tackling, which is something that we've been trying to focus on this year, but we've still got to get better. And we've got to do a much better job of pass blocking. I mean, James can do a good job out there getting the ball to receivers, but he can't do it if he's running for his life and scrambling. So we've got to work real hard on that. And then just keep doing the things that we did do well, I think, and just be ready for them.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Coach. We wish you luck this week in practice. We will be there next week in Canton, hoping for the Railers to get their first victory en route to a very good season. Put this one behind us, and let's go get those little Giants next week.
Sounds good.
All right. We're going to take one more break. We'll be right back with Mr. Jim Grimaldi as he stuffs his face with some barbecue or something along those lines. We're going to try to, if we can pull him away from the food. What do you got over there? Biscuits and gravy. Is that from the arcade? The Oasis. Oh my goodness, that looks good. I don't know if he really wants to be on the radio or if he wants to keep eating that biscuits and gravy. Maybe I'll trade him. So, but we're going to be back with Mr. Grimaldi. He's going to join us for some discussion about a wide variety of things here on the Josh Comnick Cheap Seats. We'll be right Cheap back. Seats on 96.3 WLCN. We are joined by Mr. Jim Grimaldi. Thanks for being with us, Mr. Grimaldi.
It is good to be here.
And my man Jake's still here with us, still hanging out. Hey, we should have gotten to some trivia earlier. That's a weekly tradition on the show.
Hey, we got a good prize this week, don't we?
Well, yes, we do. What we have is some Ted Nugent live in-concert tickets Thursday, September 1st at Pontiac, Crystal Palace.
Nice.
So all you Ted Nugent fanatics out there, go ahead. The trivia question this week, Jake, is?
Well, last night was Willie McGee bobblehead night there at St. Louis for the Cardinals. What year did Willie McGee win the MVP?
I know we've got some diehard Cardinal fans out there listening. Not too difficult this week.
No, it should be a pretty easy one.
Should be pretty easy one.
10 minutes.
So, yeah, call right away. We've got about
the phone number
10 or 15 minutes. The phone number is
217-648-5510.
Get on the horn right now. Hopefully you like the St. Louis Cardinals and Ted Nugent so that you are feeling
Who doesn't?
Well, yeah, I mean, come on.
I mean,
so
really?
You can get to those tickets. Go ahead and call the station. You can pick up your tickets. If you're a winner, you can pick them up at Jake's Home Furnishings today. So
right there.
Go ahead.
1100 Woodlawn Road.
Yeah, 1100 Woodlawn Road. So go ahead and dial it in and go pick up some Ted Nugent tickets.
If you answer the question right, you put a stranglehold on these tickets. Is that right?
That is correct. First caller.
Unfortunately, he can't be part of the show.
I believe we got a caller. No caller yet? Okay.
For those Ted Nugent fans, Stranglehold is probably his most famous song.
Ah, gotcha.
There you
I'm
go.
a little light on my Ted Nugent knowledge.
Uncle Ted,
he's a oldies.
I would consider it 70s classic rock.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Definitely guitar rock.
I want to say Ted Nugent's. Give me some help here. Cat Scratch Fever. What else is he got?
Cat Scratch Fever, Stranglehold. There's quite a few of them. He's actually big time hunter.
Gotcha.
Yeah, big time hunter. Had his own show for a
gun
while,
rights. Yep, he still does.
Oh yeah, that's correct. Well, as we wait for our caller, let's talk a little bit of Cardinal baseball. As a Cub fan, I gotta talk some Cardinal baseball with my man Jake here. Oh, we got a caller.
We do have a caller.
Go ahead, caller. Who are we speaking to?
1986.
What was the year?
What was the year?
Say it again. Say it loud. Say it proud.
1986.
1986.
That is incorrect.
That is incorrect, according to my man Jake here.
Right decade.
Right decade. You are correct.
That is the right decade.
That is the right decade. Keep on calling. Keep on calling. Maybe hang up and call us back. So, getting into some Cardinal baseball, last night was Willie McGee bobblehead night.
Willie McGee bobblehead night.
Probably the best thing that happened last night, or did they win last night?
They did win, actually.
They did win last night.
I was a huge Willie McGee fan.
Really?
So,
Gotcha.
yeah, a huge Willie McGee fan.
So, Jake,
big 5-4 win over the Pirates. McClellan getting the win. Berkman hitting his 30th home run.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, even the Cardinals probably are not making the playoffs if I were to throw a guess out there.
So you're giving up?
I did a while back.
I think it's going to be a long road, but
Gotcha.
Yeah, but how good of a sign was Berkman? I mean, 30 home runs.
Great.
I got to tell.
We got a caller here. Let's go to our caller here before we get too much into this. Caller, give us your answer.
Well, you told me to call back. How about 1989?
89.
Incorrect.
Incorrect. Third time is the charm, sir. Give us another call back.
Only 8 more years in the 80s?
Yeah, dude, keep going.
You got it. You got it. Give us another call back. We're rooting for you.
Talking about Lance Berkman, actually earlier this season, I'm in a big fantasy baseball league, and I had Lance Berkman on my team and Alfonso Soriano.
Oof.
And first week, I had to drop one of the two, and I picked Berkman, and he turns out to be a fantasy stud.
Yeah.
So that tells you how well I did in fantasy this year. Not very well.
I'm surrounded by Cardinal fans, so here's my question. Are we ready for the Tony La Russa era to end in St. Louis? Are we ready to move on to something different?
He got us a championship.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true. That's true.
He's actually done really well.
Oh, yeah, there's no
For the
debating
Cardinals.
that. There's no debating the past.
I
but
have a
it's-
rule when it comes to Cardinal baseball. Give me a championship a decade.
Yeah.
Now, see, for Cubs fans, that's the championship a century. We're working on the
Or
2000s.
We're talking about the Cardinals. Come on, man.
As long as we
Come
get
on,
a championship a decade, I'm fine. We missed the 90s. We got one in the 80s, but went to the World Series 3 times. I'm happy with Cardinals
So you're
baseball until
you're
at
okay
least
with Tony sticking around then?
for at least
You want him
3
back.
more years.
3 more
Well,
years.
I was going to say
Jake?
that I think what's worrying on people is his ineffectiveness to deal with a lot of young players, and that's, to be honest, is the way the Cardinals brass is wanting to move. Of course, it's cost efficient.
Mm-hmm.
They have some young players that are going to have to see some playing time before the end of the year, such as Green and a couple other players from even Brian Anderson, to be honest, which is kind of bad to mention, I guess, for some Cardinal fans that like minor league baseball. But these guys have to come up and they have to get some playing time to see what we got, because if we have any chance of signing Albert Pujols, we cannot throw away even $4 million on Rafael Furcal. It can't happen.
And I think the key to having La Russa, whether or not we have him, is whether or not that's the key to signing Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
If the Cardinals want to sign Albert Pujols, and if the deal breaker is Tony La Russa, then he has to stick around.
You got to keep Tony.
There you
Well,
go.
and if Tony is still healthy, I mean, he's talked about his health. And to be honest, I mean, with the Cardinals, even the year that they won the World Series, the second half of the season for every year since then, they have faded drastically.
Now, you know what my nightmare is, don't you? Is as a Cub fan, it looks like we're going to just start from scratch. We're going to blow the whole thing up.
La Russa will be your GM and coach.
Oh, man, I was going to say the manager. I don't even want to think about GM. But
But if he does,
I mean,
I was watching a Cubs game the other day. I don't know why. It happened to be on TV, and I was passing by. But I was watching a Cubs game. Actually, I think it was the Cubs-Cardinals game. So, and I saw some Cubs jerseys with Pujols
on the back. I did
And-
see that.
and,
Right in the front row.
and
Opening day this
there you
year
go.
at Busch Stadium, a guy walking around the stadium with a Pujols jersey that was the Cubs.
You know, that's one of the
It
things.
was definitely fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie.
I had a really hard time with Jim Edmonds coming through, and then he had a first home run, and I'm thinking, okay, Jim, you're a Cub. I can deal with you.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. My hatred for Tony La Russa runs deep. I don't know if I could even forgive him
As a
Cubs
coach,
fan.
yeah. Well, I mean,
but he is a proven coach. Let's read that trivia question one more time here. Jake, what is our trivia question?
what year did Willie McGee win the MVP for my beloved Redbirds?
All right, and here's a tip. 2 years before I was born. So if you can guess how old I am and then add on 2 years from that, you've got the winner. You've got the winning question. Go ahead and
That
call the
would be
station.
oldies then.
648. Oh, that must have done it. We've got a caller. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, Josh. Well, you know, I know it was 2 years after you were born, so that's pretty easy. I won the World Series that year.
Go away, and the year is.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. We can hear you.
Yeah. You were born in 1980.
No, but see, the problem here is that this isn't Josh Comnick.
You're
dealing with Justin Tierney. So, Justin Tierney is not nearly as old as Josh Comnick. Let's make that clear. Let's make that clear.
Oh, okay. So you were born in 1983 then.
No. So wait,
what was the year?
Yeah, I believe he's.
what do we hear? Say it again.
I would say if you're not Josh Comnick and your journey, I guess you were born in 83, so he won it in 85.
That is correct. I was
There
born
you
in
go.
87. We did the math a little wrong, but you are our winner, sir. Sir, what's your name?
Bob Verderber.
Bobby V. Bobby V calling in this morning. All right, Bobby V. Well, you've got 2 tickets to Ted Nugent. You can pick those up
At the Crystal Palace.
at the Crystal Palace in Pontiac. You can pick those up at Jake's Home Furnishings. Bobby V, don't make any plans for Thursday, September 1st. you will be with the man, Ted Nugent.
All right. I didn't think you sounded like Josh Conley.
No, I sound much better, right? Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad Jake didn't have a water leak the other day.
Believe me, when you came in and gave me that news, I was about as happy as you could be.
Bobby V, thank you for calling in this morning, sir. We're happy to have you on the show. Enjoy Ted Nugent.
We'll pick him up at Jake.
That's correct. Jake's Home Furnishings is the place to go.
When can I pick him up?
I'll be out the store here in about 45 minutes.
Jake works 24 hours a day. The only time we get him away is over here, so you can just go pick him up anytime this week, right?
Anytime this week, but anytime after I'd say 10:30 today, you can get them.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks for putting up with me.
All right, thanks Bobby V.
Toad strangler.
What'd you say now?
We need a good toad strangler.
A good coach strangler.
Yeah, that's a hard rain.
Oh, hard rain. Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. All right. Thank you, Bobby V.
Toad strangler, he said.
Toad strangler. Gotcha. Toad strangler. I gotcha. Now, talking a little baseball, is the team that's in charge of the NFL's NL Central right now, the Brewers, we were talking off the air, are they the team to beat in the National League? They're definitely the hottest team. I think they were 24-4 at one point.
They may be the team to beat in baseball.
Are they the team to beat?
In baseball, they may be the team to beat right now. Although the Phillies, you can't throw their pitching aside. Their offense, though, they do strike out a lot. And that's what hampered them last year going down there in the playoffs. But that pickup of Hunter Pence could be a big factor, man. He's an on-base guy. And
we were talking fantasy baseball earlier. I also had Hunter Pence on my team, and it was a big boost for Hunter Pence to go to from the Astros to the Phillies.
What a difference it makes hitting in front of or in a lineup with Ryan Howard, Chase Utley,
scoring runs all over the place. Yeah,
all kinds of guys over there.
And it's not bad to have, Cliff Lee, Doc Holliday. I mean,
that'll take
Roy Oswalt.
A little bit of pressure comes off when you're surrounded by a great pitching staff.
Yeah. But as we saw last season with the San Francisco Giants, I mean, it matters. And going back to the Cardinals, when we won in, what was it, 05? 06, I'm sorry. And whoever gets hot at the end of the year, as long as you make it into the playoffs, whoever's hot at that time.
04 when the Cardinals were in the World Series.
With
the Red Sox. The
infamous eight in a row to win the AL Central or the ALCS and World Series.
World Series,
amazing.
Well, while we've got Mr. Grimaldi on here, let's talk a little barbecue. Because I got to say, I'm sitting here on the air and I can see this guy getting ready and preparing his barbecue, and my goodness.
That's right. I mean, they talk about this is a barbecue competition. We're on the cheap seats. You've got a great seat right in front of our competition barbecue team. We're called the Notorious PIG with my teammates. It's myself, Corey Leonard, and Brad Lowry. And we started this year, and we haven't looked back. This is our third competition in about a past month. And we're having a lot of fun and eating very well.
I guarantee. So, I mean, do you alter the recipe a little bit from competition to competition, or do you stick with it? And is that one of those things where you let the judge determine, different judges, you're hoping, hey, this judge will like me, or is this something where you're mixing it up and trying to add some ingredients?
Basically, if it's working, you leave it alone.
Gotcha.
If it's not working, you retool. And the key is not to try to retool during the competition. You want to have a lot of practice in between. And we've had quite a bit of practice. Good story. A few weeks ago, I was practicing in my house. I had 3 of these smokers going, and about 7 o'clock in the morning, somebody was driving by and thought my house was on fire. It was on my side porch. House was on fire. Next thing I know, the Lincoln Fire Department was at my door.
So they ate well.
And believe it or not, they mentioned what time lunch was, and I was up there about 4 hours later and gave them some pulled pork. And it just so happens that week, after that incident, we went to a Morton competition, and we took first place in pulled pork. So I credit the Lincoln Fire Department for lighting a fire under our behinds to get the pulled pork going. It was a good time, and it was quite interesting having the Lincoln Fire Department pull up in front of my house.
Now tell me.
So is that like a superstitious thing now? Now are you calling the fire department to come to your house?
Well, no, see, I'm also a criminal defense attorney, so I know that placing a false call to the
false police report.
False police report, that's a class 4 felony.
Yeah, we don't want to see you in there defending yourself.
We don't want to do that.
Hopefully not. So my question about this whole competition thing, I mean, what's the what's the camaraderie like with your competitors? I mean, are you over there trying to sneak in some nasty stuff on their grill when they're not looking, or I mean, are you guys having a good time? Give me an idea of what it's like to compete.
It's strange. It's strange. The competitors are, for the most part, are very collegial and they help each other out. I ran out of some apple juice earlier. I went right next door here and borrowed some. We help each other out a lot. Basically, the queue speaks for itself, they said, and if no matter what you do, the food will speak for itself, and if it's good, it's good, and if it's good, you'll win.
So you don't have so I guess the word would be a rival. There's no rival. The guy,
no,
like I gotta beat this guy this week.
Not necessarily. Well, we don't compete enough for that to happen. The only team that I know that we've even cooked in the same competition, we were in 2 different divisions, was Mr. Chris Grau's team.
I was going to ask
and
about that.
He's taking this week off, of course, because he's one of the big coordinators of this, and he's got his hands full. But I got to tell you, the Up and Smoke in Lincoln has been an extremely well-run event. They've put in a lot of planning. The committee that was in charge of setting this up had made this into a Class A event, and I'm sure we're going to see. You got to understand, we have, for a first-year competition, we've never had even an amateur competition here, and for the first year to have championship quality teams, and when I say championship, I'm not talking regional. We have last year's national champion here. Oof. Okay, we have the man that won. I don't know if anybody's seen Barbecue Pitmasters. The last year's champion of that's here. A lot of the top circuit teams, and when I say circuit, these guys go every weekend to a different place and compete, and they're here, and that's because of the good work of the Up and Smoke committee. I commend them.
My mouth's watering. Jake?
I'm ready to go, man.
I'm ready to go.
Well, here in a couple hours, we'll have some chicken.
Can you tell us what time we're getting started today? Give us an idea so people can come downtown Lincoln. Of course, you got the art festival going on. We're Renaissance men here on the sports show.
Absolutely.
We can talk a little art. I'm sure Jake can for sure.
I'm not a barbarian. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
well, we believe it or not, we've had a lot going on in Lincoln this weekend. We have the craft fair down here at Scully Park across from my office. We have the art fair over here right across from the library. We have the barbecue competition. We have the the balloon festival out at the airport. Yeah. Not only that, last night we also had Art of Wine. Last night we also had Lincoln football at the same time, and the races were going on. Yeah. I tell you what, if you couldn't find anything to do in Lincoln last night, you must check your heart rate, because there's plenty going on for everybody.
Yeah, definitely great weekend to be in Lincoln, Illinois. I will be seeing people out tonight. I think my plans tonight are to go out to the Balloon Glow. Check that out. That's a yearly tradition. You can't miss that.
Glow and a wine tent for the Jake.
Oh yeah. Oh really?
And as far as cooking, you mentioned when are we going to get started? We've actually been cooking since yesterday. I've had a piece of meat that's piece of pulled pork that's on my smoker. It's been on there for over 12 hours.
That's for me, right?
We reserved that for you, yes. And judging isn't until 12, and it probably gets over about 1:30.
Great. Nice. Great. So you come downtown Lincoln on the square.
So what do you do with everything after you're done?
Well, we eat it.
I mean, is it open to the public? I mean, are we walking
down here? No, we do have some good barbecue vendors. Actually, some of the championship teams, you can't compete and vend at the same time. And actually, we have a very well-known team here that's vending this weekend. But there's probably 4 or 5 vendors. So you can sample very good barbecue.
Nice.
The competitors, they're not here to vend. They're here to compete. But if you're in good with one of the competitors, you might get some samples after we turn in. So
gotcha.
That's what I like to hear.
There you go.
Come on downtown Lincoln, enjoy the square.
We're actually cooking up some chicken right now that's not for competition, and you guys can have a piece of that.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's, what is this, Grimaldi Law?
Grimaldi Law Office, that's where, it's my office.
Barbecue for the people?
Well, I wouldn't go. People, I tell you what, you start talking about free food, people come out of the woodwork, believe me.
Yeah. I know I do.
Yeah.
Plenty of things to do down here. You've got the wine tent, you've got the barbecue, you've got the arts, you've got the craft fair, you've got all kinds of things.
One more thing to touch on, though, Jim.
Go ahead.
Lincoln Railer Wrestling?
Yeah.
Yes. We have had a very successful off-season. Our head coach is Brad Gardner, but we also have a few other ones. One's a Lincoln police officer, Chris Reed, and the other one who's been very instrumental in the off-season, and it's never off-season for Lincoln Railroad Wrestling, is Mr. Jason Lawrence, and they've been competing this summer, and a few of our wrestlers have wrestled 50, 60 times this summer. So
Nice.
we will have, I think, a very strong team this year, although very young. A couple of the guys had success at freshman level wrestling varsity. We had a couple that went to, a few that went to, I think 8 that went to sectionals last year.
There you go.
And I think we'll have some state caliber wrestlers this year, especially with the work that they've been putting in.
And I think one thing I did learn from wrestling during my time as a sports reporter is that you cannot, it's tough to simulate a sectional wrestling match. You know
No,
what
you
I
can't
mean?
do it.
You can't. I mean, so you get there your freshman year, your sophomore year. That's going to pay off your junior, your senior year.
That's right.
Because that is just such an intense mano a mano, let's go, bring it on
Yep.
type of atmosphere.
Win you're
It's
in,
awesome.
lose you're out. Yeah, it's intense and it gets very heated. And we prepare basically what we tell the kids that the regular season, that's basically the preseason, and that's practice
Oh,
for
yeah.
the end of the year, because that's all that counts is the end of the year. And unlike, say, football, where you have to qualify for playoffs, everybody that's a varsity wrestler can wrestle at the regional level. We put a person in at every weight class, and then if they do well enough, can go to the wrestling sectionals, and if they do well enough, they can go to wrestling state. And there's 3 classes. We're in class AA.
Absolutely a proud tradition at the Lincoln High School wrestling program. Good to hear that.
Started with my coach, Floyd B.
Yeah.
30 seasons of winning seasons. And I got to say, I tell this, I used to do commentary for wrestling, and I never fail to mention that I think wrestling put me in the right path as far as discipline and focus, and it's led me to where I am today. And if it wasn't for that, who knows where I would be.
Good deal.
So.
Good deal. Well, we're proud to, definitely happy to hear that there's such positive developments going on in the off season. We look for a big season from the Lincoln Railer wrestling squad, according to Coach Jim Grimaldi, assistant coach. Jim
Assistant
Grimaldi.
coach. Head coach
Grimaldi.
Brad Gardner. Yes.
Yep, that's correct. All right. Well, we're going to sign off. Thanks for joining us on the show today. Thanks to
not
Jake.
Josh Komnick.
Yeah, the
Cheap
not
Seats
Josh Conley,
Live.
Cheap Seats. Josh will be back next week with
His Botox injections, his little
and
tuck.
looking good, looking sharp.
Yeah.
So okay, we're gonna go
Coming
right
up.
in to. All right, we'll be
Jeff
right
number
back.
2, right
Jeff
around the
number
corner.
2.
There you go.
We'll see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.